Hey, hey, girl, how's it going? And if our God is with us, hello, 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 cause hey, everyone, how are you on this Saturday evening? God is with us, then I can stand again. Hey, so good to see you. Thank you for joining. Happy Sabbath. How are you? Yes. Trader, our God is stronger than any other. Come on in the room. Our God is stronger, God, you are higher than any other. Awesome and power, our God. How's everyone doing on this Saturday? God is for us, and they can't ever stop us. And if our God is with us, then we can stand against. Awesome. And if our God is with us, doing pretty good. No complaints. Stand again. All right. So welcome. Join in the discussion. Let me turn my music down here. Not off, but down. Join in the discussion. Invite your followers, those you know are married or desiring to get married. Please go ahead and invite them into the room. Because this is going to be a juicy discussion. We're going to talk about some things as it relates to attraction killers in marriage. There is such a thing, if you didn't know. Thank you so much. There is such a thing, as you know, and I believe sometimes we become blindsided and feel that just because we're now married, that everything is all good. You know, that there are no issues, no problems. You got the guy, you got the gal, and everything is just going to be hunky-dory. But, there's work that needs to be done within the marriage. And I often say, as the wife, as the woman, we have a lot of control in that regard as it relates to the shifting of the marriage, the things that go on in the marriage, the temperature per se, or the thermostat. We have control over how we set that tone. We have control over how we have set the scent in our home per se. So there's a lot of things that we as wives can do to nurture and grow the marriage as well as the husbands. But I do hold a lot of responsibility on the woman as well, because a lot of times it seems like, unfortunately, we're a direct contributor to the marriage, going crazy or haywired or whatever the case may be, because of the lack of growth, the lack of stability, the lack of mental growth, or our mindset changing, the lack of emotional, being in past relationships with whomever or doing whatever, and premarital sex and things that we've gotten involved with in the past, being that we are the receivers, when you are in a relationship and you're not married, those things can affect your marriage relationship when you do get married. And especially for the woman, because we're so attached to the emotional side of the relationship. We're so attached to, Lexi, to the emotional side of the relationship. So let's say premarital sex, we've had how many other partners, and we've allowed that person to, release within us, or just not even release, but just having sexual encounter, those strongholds and all of those different things that we deal with and we struggle with after the relationship is over, and sometimes still having an emotional attachment to the exes, to the baby daddies or baby daddy or whoever. You know what I'm saying? Those are things that can definitely hinder the marriage. And if you're not constantly aware of constantly aware of your lack of growth in those areas and working on those areas, then when you get into the you get into the marriage union, it can definitely affect the marriage. And a lot of women don't know that. So I often tell women, take your time in wanting to get married. Take your time in wanting the husband, especially if you just got out of a relationship, or, you got out of a long-term relationship. It could have been time could have passed and you are now outside of that relationship, but there's still a lot of things that you need to do, a lot of growth, a lot of healing. Even if it wasn't a bad relationship per se, the fact that you were with someone for a certain amount of time, and chances are you were intimately connected to that person, physically, sexually connected to that person. You built something with that person. You built a relationship. You built a community just between you and that person. So there are a lot of things that went on, and a lot of things you have to detox from your system because you're no longer with that person. And you want to be careful in not carrying those same behavior patterns, that same mindset into a new situation. But it happens a lot more than you think. And you get into the marriage and you're thinking you're all good and dandy. Because I know even with me, when I first got married, I didn't know that there were a lot of things that I still struggle with, from my past and things of that nature, until circumstances came up, right? Until certain triggers per se came up. And then I realized that, I had some growth to do. I still had some healing to do. I still had some deliverance needed to still take place within my life, within my mind, within my emotions. And if I can tell you a secret, I'm still working in a lot of areas in my life, in my mind, in my emotions, because you will never arrive. So the moment you stop growing, the moment you say that I'm not going to change, and listen here, it's not about changing for your husband per se. It is changing for you, for your well-being and for your benefit. Your husband just gets to benefit as a result of you changing. But you never want to get into a place where you're not going to change, you're not going to grow. That's how I am. I've been doing this. Hey sis, hey girl, happy anniversary. I've been doing this and this is how I am. If you have that mentality, oh my God, thank you sis for sharing. If you have that mentality, you are sadly mistaken, and your marriage is going to go downhill very quickly. So you have to go in with an open mind. You have to go in with expectations. Yes. Linda, you keep getting cut off, hon? But you don't want your expectations to be so far stretched and so far out there until they're unrealistic. You don't want unrealistic expectations when it comes to your marriage, and you definitely don't want your now husband to pick up the slack for whoever hurt you, whoever abused you mentally, emotionally, or otherwise, whoever didn't come to your rescue, be it a father or an ex. So you have to be mindful. And again, like I said, women, we more so struggle with that, and we deal with our emotions differently than men deal with their emotions. I talked about that on the scope one time, and I talked about how men they normally retreat from dealing with adversity and chaos in the marriage, and they kind of think things through. They're very analytical for the most part, and they create diversions so they won't have to confront whatever the problem or issue is. Whereas women, we deal with our emotions, right? We're going to go through the emotional steps, which is very healthy, by the way. So I don't want you to feel like it's not healthy, but what's unhealthy is when you try to go through the emotional steps when you get into another relationship or another marriage. You want to make sure you go through those emotional steps. I'm trying to unread some of my emails, guys. I'm sorry if I'm looking back and forth. But you want to go through those emotional steps before you get into the marriage union to prevent as much craziness as possible, because you're still going to have a level of craziness. Now you're still going to have things that happen, but you want to have it as bad, and you want to have to work as hard at trying to have a healthy marriage when you took care of a lot of the pre-course work per se, or the prerequisites. In school, how we have to do prerequisites before we get to take our core classes and things of that nature. That's the same thing with the marriage. You want to take care of all the prerequisites and the pre-courses before you get to the actual marriage, and then making your husband a test dummy or a test doll to be test on. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. I thought I sent myself the latest version. That's what I was looking for on my computer, but sometimes it doesn't come through. So let me see if it's on my Kindle here. And for those that don't know me, I appreciate you all taking this time out on a Saturday. I promise I won't keep you too long. We'll try to go about 30 or 40 minutes and be off. Time goes by really fast on the scope, believe it or not. I'm talking, and the next thing you know, it's an hour going by, and I'm like, oh my God, I talked that long. But I love to talk. I love to share. I love to share with the community of wives. And let me know this disclaimer. Me being able to give you these things that I'm going to give you on today, me being able to teach you in any aspect, is not that I have arrived. I am far from arrived. I am learning and I am growing with marriage. So don't feel like my marriage is perfect by any stretch of the imagination. imagination. I am constantly growing, constantly learning, and constantly trying to share with you all. You appreciate it so that we can be better together. You know, we can stand strong as women of God, as wives, as leaders, as world changers, as kingdom builders, to be better together for ourselves first, for our family, then, you know what I'm saying? And then for everybody else. Because if we're not good for ourselves first, if we're not growing, individually and pouring into ourselves individually and being better individually, we can't do that to our marriages, our family, and our community. You know, I often say that our marriages are only as good as we are. Our children are only as good as we are. You know what I'm saying? You can't expect to produce something great when you're not great. You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense. So as much time as you spend growing yourself, you know, you have to spend equal amount of time as well in growing other areas of your life. So that's why I'm on tonight, for us to grow together, for us to go and to grow together. So I am the co-founder. I am Treal Ravenel, and I am the co-founder of Detour Movement, where we believe and we teach women that if you renew your mind, we teach them how to life transformation. Because when you change the way that you think, you can change every aspect. Okay. Sorry guys, I